summarize, point made by panelists all along. So I would like, I will take 2 questions from the floor. Okay. Okay, 1 question here and the second one over there. Just 2 questions, because I was told that my time is over.
Thank you very much. My name is Korir Edwin from the county government of Uasin Gishu. And I'm from the Directorate of Trade, where markets are domiciled. And I feel from yesterday and today, they've been talking about issues of markets where it directly affects us. But my question is very practical and very open. What next from here? If I use Uasin Gishu as the context, we are in the process of reviewing the market policy. And on the 17th of this month, we did a public participation whereby we expected input from the players in the market. We also received inputs from the BMOs, the Business Management Organization. But none of the inputs touch on issue of gender or on issue of nutrition. Now that we have now the results from the research that was done, how will we incorporate now the recommendation with the policy draft that we have? So my question is very simple and practical. What next from here? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Again, my name is Ashagrie Zewdu from Addis Ababa University. I just want to use this opportunity because this is a policy dialogue where policy makers are sitting here. I may not get the opportunity to ask them back home. So there have been questions I've been asking myself, and I just want to get an answer from policy makers that we are talking about affordability of food, prices, and other things. So if this is becoming a challenge for Africa to eat nutritious food, becoming expensive, can policymakers tell me why does African countries export foods while the local needs are not met? I know there are going to be a transaction for the fuel, for the pharmaceuticals. There might be reasons that I'm listening, but when I see it even in our country that women's farmers used to consume their own products because they produce it at household. They used to get healthy diets, have you understand? For example, milk in Ethiopia, for example, it is a taboo for a woman to sell it outside. It's for the family, it's for the kids. She used to get that earning, and the nutritional benefit used to be for the family. But now when you change milk into a commercial level, now it's moving away from the family and getting into somebody else. Meat is much cheaper to export it than consume it locally. For example, Ethiopians, we are raw meat eaters. The price of locally is much profitable than exporting it. But the demand of government, he forces you to oil seeds. You know that Ethiopia is rich in oil seeds, but we import palm oil from Malaysia or other countries. And in the contrary, policymakers will tell you that because of unhealthy diet, you are dying 50% of a non-communicable disease because of sugar, saturated fat, trans fat, and other things. So I'm asking this for the policymakers. Why not we make this trade-off? Have you understand? For me, this is a zero-sum trade-off. We are losing our health. We are not eating nutritious food, but we are exporting the food, and the revenue is coming back to home, and mostly it is invested in something of luxurious or not even to the targeted things, have you understand? So for me, for a country to be prosperous, the first thing that we need to do is that our society have to be fed well first. So for a policy, because I can't really ask you, it's always a question that I ask, why are we feeding someone else while the continent or ourselves or households, women are starving like this with price escalation and different things? I wish I could get answer from policymakers. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. Further one? Okay, please go ahead.
Good evening. Thank you. I know you had said 2, but I can request to ask this question. My name is Makore Wilson from the African Food System Transformation Collective. And I've been listening to a number of presentations made by the presenters and also the policymakers. And one thing I'm observing is that there is a disconnect between the researchers and also the policymaker, whereby you find that the policy researchers make good recommendations, but also we don't have that interaction between the researchers and the policymaker, at least to be able to understand how best to implement them to actualize the recommendations. So I'll have a question, which I had framed different for the presenters, but now to the policymakers. Within the context of transforming African food systems through gender-responsive retail market policies, what specific policy or regulatory commitment could your ministry, I assume a majority of you come from ministries, make should philanthropy partners choose to invest to ensure that scalable improvements in women's access to safe, nutritious and affordable foods can be achieved within the next 12 to 24 months? That is basically to show how ready we are to accommodate philanthropy funding. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I will restrict to 3 questions. And questions were posed to policymakers. And I'm glad I'm not a policymaker. So I will let the policymaker in 2 minutes give your thoughts on the...
Just a comment.
Oh, wow. There is a question back there.
It's not really...
Maureen, you said that it's time. So don't take the microphone around. So please, sir,
yes,
please
okay.
go ahead with your question.
Thank you. Mine is not a question really, but a point of information. I like the questions about the markets in the urban areas, and the way you're saying that we find the county officials running after the hawkers. And I just want to say that I'm from Nairobi City County, from the Food and System Department. And one of the things that we try really to do is that the vendors, they are given areas where they can do the feeding. But when you find them placing food on the road, then there is a problem. And that is when they will be literally be taken captive. Now, the other thing is that, like for the city of Nairobi, we are developing 20 markets, 10 by the national government, 10 by the county government. 3 by the county government are already on the way. And they are new and they are modern. We have one inaugurated called Mutwini Market. It's a modern market that is being developed with all the aspects that we really would want to see in that market. So it has all the spaces, including an area where the women will have, they can go and do lactation for their children, where the children can play around, the ones that are very young, and the women can have longer time to do their market work. So that is important. Another thing is that we are also working with stakeholders and partners to improve the physical infrastructure. A case in point is City Park market, whereby one of our stakeholders has provided a solar-powered storage facility. And we are looking at how we can also do that in our other markets. So we are trying to provide that. The other thing is that we are again also working with the stakeholders to work on the waste, food waste at the marketplace. And we find that this waste is sometimes as much as 99% organic. And then we are looking at it as not as waste, but as a resource in the aspect of a circular bioeconomy, such that we see that waste and then it is made into other products like compost, which can also go back now to the farmers and provide jobs for the youth and also provide the compost that is also required by the farmers within the urban space and so on. So these are some of the things that we are working with, not really as a question, but just as a by the way.
Okay, thank you for sharing your experience with us. And one point, key point that you raised is food waste. And we would like to hear decision policymakers on these 3 points that were made from the floor. So please, I will start from the right, 2 minutes each. Thank you.
Thank you very much. When it comes to policies, for example, what can be done to increase this nutritious food? I talked about production, that's okay. I want to take on the question on philanthropy because I spent the last 5 years, actually I just returned to the university this month, working with development partners in issues of development and gender. And there's a lot of work that which is happening to improve food processing, reduce food waste by the philanthropic community out there. One of the work we did was incubating women enterprises in agro-food industry. That is helping women add value to these raw foods like the raw rice, the bananas, the cassavas, just to be able to make them prolong the shelf life, especially things like fruits, things like cassava, things like bananas, among others, add value addition, but not just value addition, while ensuring food safety and standardization. Collaborating with multiple sectors, like for example, we worked with Kirdi, University of Nairobi, we worked with KEBS, and the idea is to ensure that as women add value to this food, it is standardized, it is safe, and most importantly, they can access formal markets to increase their income. So value addition and technology adoption in terms of you cannot increase production if you're not going to embrace technology in the 21st century. People are already growing cassava without soil, and we're here waiting for the rains to come. I mean, we have to pull up our socks and adopt technology in terms of adding food production. So yes, there's a big role for the philanthropic community. That is because government, if you look at the debt in Kenya, for example, we're talking about 68.8% of GDP. I mean, debt to GDP, 68.8%, and that 65% of our revenue goes into interest servicing for debt. So how much is left for the government to spend in these programs? So what we are saying is that government cannot do this alone. So there's a role for the philanthropic community, and there's also a role for the private sector to play to be able to ensure that people are getting enough, and first and foremost enough food, and most importantly nutritious food, not just for immediate development goals, but also for future human capital development. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So let me shed some light on the issue of why we are still exporting food. The answer is based on, there are two famous economists, Heckscher and Olin, who say that countries should export goods that intensively use their abundance factor. Now in Africa, agriculture is labor intensive. We have land, we have labor. That's why we export tea, we export coffee, and other goods that are labor intensive. But we can, and the two economists say that we import goods that are capital intensive. But I don't agree, because I believe we can kill two birds with one stone. The solution lies, instead of exporting, we can invest in this capital. That includes value addition, because why should you export raw materials to a country, then they add value, then you import that in the form of import goods? Yet, there is room to invest in machinery, there is room to invest in other value addition equipment, so that instead of exporting, we make value and we have the whole value chain right here. But the big problem, in 2012, the heads of the states for the EAC, the East African Community, met and they adopted the East Africa Industrialization Strategy. I believe, and many economists believe, that no country can prosper without significant investments in industrialization and manufacturing. So there was this strategy by the East African Community to adopt the East African Industrialization Strategy. But it's been 2012 minus 2025 minus 2012, there's nothing that's happening. So that brings out a very big problem. The gap between policy and practice. We have a lot of policies in our shelves, in the libraries of our universities. Policies are there. but we need practice. So the final takeaway is that Africa will only prosper if we close the gap between policy and practice. The moment we put practice in place, then we will be where we want to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Doctor. Mr. Wigari?
I think I agree with doctor what he responded. The best thing is to just first satisfy the local demand and also protect local industries so that they can add values and then promote export for value-added products. Some case in developing country, some products need a huge investment for value addition. In that case, government enforced to export raw materials to external market and then enforced to import the processed goods. This is not a good, it's not a practical way to development, but for current problem and the situation, government may force it to do that. The other thing is also government protect in Ethiopia even by protecting some crops from exporting. For example, if you take teff, raw teff is not export to any country to protect local consumers as well. I think I want to add this only.
Okay, thanks.